Has someone ever told you that the Chinese never had us in slavery? Today we'll dive into the dark history of the Tang Dynasty. Let's go into this book called Destiny to show who China is in the scriptures.
It is significant that it was Moab and Ammon, the ancestors of China and Japan, who came against Jehoshaphat. Isaiah chapter 16 and verse 6. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud, even of his haughtiness, and his pride and his wrath, but his lies shall not be so.
Let's uncover the lies of the Chinese, who the Bible calls Moab, and what they did to us during the Tang Dynasty. Maritime Silk Road. Tang China had thriving ports such as Guangzhou, Canton, which connected it to the Indian Ocean world. Let's go into the book, The Slaves of Guangzhou, to see what took place during the Tang Dynasty.
Chapter 2, The Slaves of Guangzhou. What has preceded the southeastern coastal cities of Guangzhou has already emerged as a pivotal locale, for it serves as a conspicuous nexus for helping to further not only our knowledge of the circumstances of China's pre-modern blacks, but also our understanding of their situation and relation to the Chinese institution of slavery. What follows is an exposition and analysis of what, apart from the official histories, appears to be the only non-fictional source within the slim body of available evidence that strongly suggests that the substantial presence of what we by convention would deem to have been radically or ethnically black slaves inside middle period China. As the late scholar C. Martin Wilbur procrastically observed, foreign slaves were very popular with the cosmopolitan upper classes of the Tang period. Dark-skinned slaves, certainly Negroid, were very popular. References to them go back and forth to the 5th centuries. In Tang times, some slaves may have been African Negroes imported by Arab traders.
Arab and Persian merchants who dominated sea trade had commercial ties with East African ports, especially on the Swahili coast, modern Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania, and Zanzibar. These merchants captured or purchased slaves from African regions and transported them across the Indian Ocean to the Middle East, India, and as far as China. So what did we prove? That the Chinese, who the Bible calls Moab, had us in slavery. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
During the Indian Ocean slave trade, the Arabians sold the Israelites as far east as China on slave ships. What does this prove? The Israelites were slaves during the Tang Dynasty. So let's dive deeper into the history of slavery in China. Most enslaved Africans in this era were from East Africa, likely Bantu-speaking populations. Chinese sources often refer to darker-skinned foreigners as Kunlun, a term that was ambiguous but over time included Africans. The term Kunlunu, meaning Kunlun slaves, appears in Tang literature, folklore, and historical texts.
Kunlunu. The Kunlun slave or Negrito slave is a wuxia romance written by Beijing, 825 through 880, during the Tang Dynasty. The hero of the tale is a Negrito slave who uses his extraordinary physical abilities to save his master's lover from a court official's harem.
I want you to look and see how they depicted us during the Tang Dynasty. Glazed pottery figure of a black boy with curly hair. North Central China, Tang Dynasty, 7th or early 8th century AD. In southern China, especially, it was not unheard to have black slaves. Zhu Yu writes about foreign traders and rich households on the southern Chinese coast in his 1197 notes on Pingzhou. Many of the wealthy households in Guangzhou raised devil slaves. Let's read the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 37.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Role of African slaves in Tang, China. African slaves were not numerous, but very visible in certain social settings. Domestic servants, often employed in elite households. Laborers, used in ports, households, and construction. Entertainers, their appearance fascinated Tang elites, and they have been displayed in court or noble settings. Let's read the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48.
Therefore shall thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee.
So why does this history matter? Check this out. The African slave trade in the Tang Dynasty shows that global connections between Africa and East Asia existed over 1,000 years ago. It challenges Eurocentric narratives by showing that early forms of slavery, trade, and cultural exchange was present in diverse empires long before the Atlantic slave trade. For all the evil that the Chinese did to us, let's read the judgment of Moab.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab. Verse 12, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Numbers chapter 24 and verse 17. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. Jeremiah chapter 48 and verse 38. There shall be lamentation generally upon all the housetops of Moab, and in the streets thereof. For I have broken Moab like a vessel wherein no pleasure, saith the Lord.
So according to the Bible, the Chinese people are Moab, and you will be judged for all the evil that you've done to God's chosen people, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So with that, we say shalom.